everybody, this is Tim W. Leathertachi, 1996, and welcome to our next episode of Godzilla FX, and today we have a great one this week. Godzilla vs. MECHA-GODZILLA 2 from 1993. Now, this is going to be a very, very long review because there's a lot to talk about with this movie. I mean a lot. And I'm sorry if I sound a little odd. I just got done eating like a lot of jalapeno slices, so it's still really hot in my mouth. But I kid you not, I have not drinking no water whatsoever and nothing cold because I can take it. I can do this. I eat jalapenos a lot anyways. Like, not the whole ones, I eat the ones out of the jar. But anyways, back to this. Now, I'm saying right now, this was a really good Godzilla movie, and I'm going to say right now my score for this movie is a flat out 8 out of 10. And here is our very first, this is our, and yes, on the poster is true, the monsters, the 4 monsters that are on the poster, I'll be talking about those as the slideshow goes along here. Now, this is our first pick here. This is literally at the very, very start of the movie, where you have a new and improved MECHA-GODZILLA. And literally, the way they show the title in this movie is really cool. It's all this awesome CGI, very shiny title that shows up. It's really cool. But with this movie, I found 5 effects cons with this movie. Now, my first con is actually with our good friend MECHA-GODZILLA here. As cool as this looks, and this whole movie is all about robotics and technology, this movie is full of that. MECHA-GODZILLA is just one huge part of it. Now, I love his new look, and I love how he moves. He moves a little organically, like he doesn't move with the straight-legged, cheesy, I am a robot kind of movement. He moves organically, like you actually see his legs move a little more naturally, and I like that. And I love how this one looks like a very advanced robot. Like I said, I love this new MECHA-GODZILLA. I love this one more than the original one from the Showa era. But my first effects con is with him, actually, is the fact that throughout this whole movie, he never uses his hands. He never uses his hands to fight with, like the original version. Shoot, okay. Well, before I talk about this, the original Mecha-G used his hands to fight with, and this one he don't ever do it. And now here is a great moment right here. You have Rodan, and I love Rodan. The execution, the design, the detail, it is super, super good. I really love Rodan in this movie, and what's so cool is at one point he shoots atomic breath at the very end of this movie during the final monster battle, and the one actually what I was about ready to say, I'll talk about that at the very end of this slideshow. Now, when you look at Rodan here, he shows up on the island where he and Godzilla get on this island, which is nothing but this rocky, uninhabited island, you know, out in the middle of the ocean, and he and Godzilla just get in this huge, really great fight. And the way and I love that in the Heisei era, I love how Rodan gets a new origin story. They explain that Rodan hatched out of, there's these 2 eggs that are found on the island, and they don't ever say who laid them, but they do explain that Rodan hatched out of one of the eggs, and like they say, he's literally, they actually give a species name for him. They actually say like he's an actual like pteranodon. And they explained like the island is polluted by nuclear waste. It's like a dump or something for nuclear waste or whatever. And a pteranodon that hatched out of one of the 2 eggs was touched by the radiation from the nuclear waste and became became Rodan. And I love that origin story because it's the one that actually does make a lot of sense. And they say that Godzilla and Rodan, they're both like irradiated dinosaurs, and they've already shown that in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah for Godzilla. But it's cool in this movie that they do explain that that a pteranodon got irradiated like Godzilla. I really love that. I just love everything about Rodan in this movie. I love it. And I know I don't talk about music so much, but the soundtrack by Akira Ifukube, the music is so cool. They play Rodan's original theme song in this movie. They just redid it to make it sound newer. But everything about Rodan is just perfect. Seriously, the detailing on the suit and the puppet, and the animatronic head, his roar, everything is so cool about him. And then here we have Godzilla. Godzilla is no exception. There's literally, one thing I do have to say about Rodan is that there is my next effects con with him. As much as I love Rodan in this movie, there's one shot towards the end of the movie where you can see the wires holding him up. I mean, it's only in one shot, but it's really easy to ignore. Well, I mean, once you see it, it only happens in like 1 second, and then that's it. Then here you have the King of the Monsters himself, Godzilla. It's the same suit from the last movie. I mean, if you ever notice, Godzilla has the same consistent look in the second franchise, because in the Showa era, he's had so many design changes, it's not even funny. And here in the Heisei era, he has the same consistent look. I mean, 1984, yeah, that was its own look, but then from Biollante to now, Godzilla's had the same look, which is great. And the miniature that he's walking on is like I said a bunch of times, environment miniatures are better than cities, in my opinion, really. Oh my god, excuse me, sorry about that. But overall, once again, Godzilla's suit has a lot of good detailing on it, and Ken Satsuma once again plays him, and I love his performance in this. I love his performance as Godzilla in this movie because he plays him like an aggressive parent, like an animal protecting its kids, like what you would think of like a protective grizzly bear kind of thing. Or like a protective crocodile, even. Like Godzilla's character is I really love how Satsuma played him, and it's just everything about Godzilla. There's not an effects con about Godzilla in this movie. There's not, and it's like everything about the execution for Godzilla in this movie is literally just downright perfect. And one thing I do love about him, and I will explain this more in the later in this video here, because I do believe I did find the pick for. Sorry about that. Sorry, folks. Sorry, I'm going quiet here. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. Okay, I know I found the pick where there's one thing that they do with Godzilla in this movie that they do not do very often. And I think it is later in this video. I don't know if it's in the next pick in the slideshow or it's later in this video. Oh my god. Okay. This is my next effects con right here in this shot and throughout this entire movie. Here we have baby Godzilla, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not a fan of his face. I'm not a fan of his eyes. His eyes, I mean, I know he's supposed to be a baby and all, but his eyes are this is my third effects con here. His eyes they could have made this his eyes a little smaller, and it wouldn't look so cartoony. Oh my god. And also, if you look at his eyes, he looks like he's cocking his eyebrow, like an eyebrow up. He looks confused. Seriously, it just looks. I just didn't like his eyes. His eyes could have been smaller, or maybe half that size. But other than that, Baby Godzilla, the suit is really good. It has reptilian detail, and the way he hatches out of the egg is just like they have the disgusting like wetness that when reptiles hatch out of the egg, and I don't know, they just did a really good job with it. And what's so cool is his roar is like he sounds like a high pitched version of Godzilla's roar. And it's just everything about him is good. I just didn't like his eyes. I'm just not a big fan of his eyes, really. That's my, yeah, like I said, that's my third effects con. And it's just so funny how they do this whole thing where they do like the thing with birds or reptiles, and they say like they imprint on the first thing they see when they hatch. And Baby Godzilla imprints on one of the female characters in this movie. And it's just so funny how they it's so funny how like when you see the egg they think it's a pteranodon egg, but then as soon as you see baby's tail come out, and they name it baby, they just call it that. They just call him baby throughout the whole movie, and after this point on. And it's just so funny how it's like as soon as you see the tail pop out, hatch out, it's like, oh yeah, that's not Rodan. This is not Rodan's kin at all. And I just love how they say they say that he's a Godzillasaur, that baby's a Godzillasaur, and I don't understand that name, but it's just a baby Godzilla, really. So, but yeah, I really did love the guy whoever played in this suit. If you are still alive, hear me now. I loved your performance. I love the color. Mainly when we see Godzilla, or even Minya from the Showa era, he was one. Well, Minya wasn't one solid color, but it's like you look at Godzilla, he's one whole color. He's charcoal gray all the way. He's charcoal gray all the way. And I do love that in Baby here, they give him a different color. It's blue with like dark gray stripes going down the dorsal surface. I love that they did that. I really, really do love that they gave a different color. Oh, and you got like a light bluish gray on the underside. I do love that they do that. That they do something a little different with Godzilla's species. And the one thing I do gotta say is, throughout this whole movie, every time they show Baby, it's just an adorable moment. And they have this, it's just a cute moment with him, always. And what's so cool is that they have this thing with Baby here, where they do this thing with nature, where some animals, when they're pissed off or they're scared, they produce light that shows that feeling, a sign of hunger, anger, or scared, or being scared. Baby does that. His eyes glow. His eyes glow red, and one of the other scientists has that theory where when you see the egg before Baby hatches out, it glows red. It starts glowing red, and then they explain that when it's distressed or whatever, that whatever's in it is either distressed or something. And Baby does that throughout the movie when he's scared. It's a lot of the time when he's scared, you see his eyes just glow red. And there is a point where Godzilla does it too. And it's like, was Baby calling him? Or they try to give explanations for the red eye glowing in this movie. They really do try. And one thing I do like about Baby is that when you look at the suit itself, it looks like it's just like a typical the way it's executed is like a typical 90s rubber dinosaur suit. But they did a good job. Like one good detail that I just noticed that I did not notice in the movie is look at around his mouth. They have like the dinosaur heavy scales around his mouth. I never noticed that in the movie, actually. Okay, I love that they did that, because the whole thing about this movie in total is they do the whole thing about technology, and they do this whole thing about dinosaurs having each other's back. And this is a great piece of effects work. This is right after baby hatches, and yeah, these pictures are in sequence for those of you who've seen the movie. This is a great piece of effects work. Like when they do have this explanation where baby apparently called Godzilla, to look for him, and Godzilla comes up and just wrecks everything in his path. I mean, yeah, it's same old stuff, Godzilla attacking a city, but it's with each movie how the special effects get better and better and better. Like seriously, and there is use of CGI, and it's typical '90s CG, for for Godzilla's atomic breath right here, but it still looks cool. It's still cool to watch. And then there's explosions, more explosions. I mean, this movie it's like in the original Godzilla vs. Mecha, the Showa Godzilla vs. MECHA-GODZILLA. There's explosions. Oh, more explosions. Oh, and also, did I mention this movie has explosions? Yeah, this movie here is no different. Yeah, Godzilla vs. MECHA-GODZILLA 2 ain't no different. And seriously, you can tell just from this screenshot alone the amazing effects work that they have for this movie. It's really good, and I believe it's the guy who did the effects work is Koichi Kawakita, and he did a great job. He did such a great job with the special effects. And there's one funny thing. There's one little funny thing I gotta mention. Look at the people in this shot. Look at the cameraman. It's just so funny when the explosion happens in the background with Godzilla. He immediately looks away from Godzilla and starts running away with the people. And it's like, don't focus on the giant monster, or don't focus on the giant monster behind you or anything. Focus on all the people running away. I don't know, it's just like a little funny thing. Like, okay, why did he do that? It was just a little funny moment that I gotta mention, because it's like, really? But yeah, there are close-ups that they have of Godzilla just shooting his atomic breath, knocking this tower over, and it's just one great piece of special effects work. It was just really cool. The special effects in this movie, they pick up. Excuse me. They pick up through each scene, and it's just very cool. Like I said, this movie, like I said at the very beginning of this video, this movie gets a good 8 out of 10 for me. Because there's two last special effects cons that I have to talk about. Okay, this is what I was talking. Okay, right here. This is what I was talking about earlier, where I said they do something with Godzilla in here that they usually hardly ever do, or never. It's they actually show more expression on Godzilla's face right here. And this is during the final battle. Not the final battle. The first battle with MECHA-GODZILLA. And MECHA-GODZILLA, when he flies like the original, where his arms are at his sides and his legs are out behind him. He flies like the original Mecha-G, which is okay, that's cool. Like, nice little throwback to the Showa version, to the Showa era. I like that. But in this shot right here, with Godzilla's face, you see amazing facial detail. Amazing detail. But it's the same suit from the last few movies, so I can't really say nothing much. And I love that you get to see the double row of teeth on his bottom jaw. Like, look on the left side of his bottom jaw. You see the double row of teeth, and it so reminds me of, like, great white sharks. It reminds me a lot of great whites, because great white sharks have a double row of teeth, and I don't know, it just looks so... Like, Godzilla in the Heisei era, he's a lot more animalistic, which I really do like. I mean, the heroism thing, I don't know, it was cool that they did that to him in the original franchise, but the fact in this franchise, in the Heisei era, they make him more animalistic, it's a lot cooler that way, in all honesty. And again, look at his nose. It looks like a cat. Seriously, Godzilla has his cat-like nose. I don't know if anybody's pointed that out yet, but look at his face. I mean, look at his nose. Seriously, it's like you got all dinosaur, and then look at his nose. It's cat nose, like scaly cat nose. Look at his. Oh my god! It just looks so much like a panther or something. But anyways, I'm sorry. There's some shots where you look at it and you're like, oh my god. And the first battle with Mechagodzilla is super good. It literally, it's like you show off. It's like they show off more effects work. And I believe here in like a few seconds there is another shot of Mechagodzilla. And from there I will explain his new arsenal. And I gotta tell you, Mechagodzilla, he has such an incredible supply of ammo. I mean, like I said, he literally. Remember how I said with the Showa era Mechagodzilla, how he's basically a Call of Duty player's dream to have infinite ammo? Well, in this movie, his armory is a lot different. And see, here we go. Look, you can tell just in the screenshot by the way Mechagodzilla, the way when I said he moves organically, which means his knees actually bend and his legs move better. And look, and here's where his armory. In his eyes, he has they call it laser cannons. In his mouth, like his mouth actually shoots. They call it the Mega Buster, which looks like a robotic version of atomic breath, really. And then in his stomach, okay, out of his abdomen, there's this weapon that they call the plasma grenade. But when it shoots, it doesn't even look like a grenade. It's just this overpowered laser that shoots out of his torso, out of his abdomen. I don't know why they call it the plasma grenade, because that name just does not make any sense. And one thing I didn't mention about Mechagodzilla at the beginning of this, and I should have, was that this time when Godzilla shoots at Mecha-G here, there's no explosion. It's literally, they say that Mechagodzilla is covered in this artificial diamond coating that is heat repellent. So when Mechagodzilla shoots at him, when Godzilla shoots at Mechagodzilla, sorry about that, everybody. When Godzilla shoots at Mechagodzilla, it doesn't work. It does not work, and Mechagodzilla it doesn't reflect the atomic breath back at Godzilla. It just stops him from blowing him up. And what's so crazy is Mechagodzilla is actually taller than Godzilla in this movie. Yeah, he's taller than he is, which is insane. And I just so can't believe, like, oh, and another thing about Mechagodzilla. Sorry, before I finish that, I'll say this. His last bit of arsenal, he has paralyzer missiles in his shoulders. Paralyzers. And literally, just like how I said in the Showa era Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla films, how Godzilla gets his ass handed to him. Oh, in this movie, he really does get his ass handed to him. Truly, he really does. In Mechagodzilla, he literally, these two wires called shock anchors come out of his wrists, and they literally shoot themselves right into Godzilla's chest and stomach, and you see blood come flying. You see some blood come flying out. And then, when Mechagodzilla shoots at him, he shoots Godzilla right in the face. I mean, it's people controlling him this time. It's people controlling Mechagodzilla this time around. I think, like, in his head or whatever. And, oh my god, Godzilla, he really gets his ass handed to him. But Godzilla ends up frying Mechagodzilla's circuits because of the radiation from his dorsal fins, and ends up frying him. Oh, and here we go. This is towards the final monster battle in the movie. It's like, the thing with Godzilla and Rodan is that, remember when I said how they do this thing where dinosaurs watching each other's backs? Well, that's the whole thing. It's like Rodan is trying to save Baby from the humans. Like, he's trying to get them away from the humans. And it's like, and here we get to see, actually, he flies over some shots of actual people running in the street with Rodan, like, green screen in the background with CGI compositing. It's really good. It blends really, really well, and that's a trait that they've been doing with the '90s films, with the '90s Godzilla films. And I love this miniature set. This is so far one of my favorite city sets of the Heisei era because it has a lot more detail on it. Like they put a lot more detail on the miniatures, and it's more brightly lit. You know, I really do love the cityscape in this movie. And also, if you notice, look at Rodan up in the right corner. You notice he has different color. That's because they explain that there's this weird psychic thing, that this plant thing that was attached to the egg where baby Godzilla was in, and they said the psychic character Miki Sagusa, played by the very very pretty Megumi Odaka. She says that the plant has this music that it generates that I don't know. It's really weird. I don't even know how to explain that. I don't know how to explain that. But they said like whenever the dinosaurs hear the plant's music, they get this giant intake of power, like it strengthens them. And Rodan just gets this new color change, and I mean Godzilla doesn't get it, but Baby and Rodan do, and Baby gets stronger. Baby Godzilla gets stronger, and Rodan gets this ability to shoot purple atomic breath, actually. And also, he gets a color change from brown to red. And they call him Fire Rodan, like in the end credits, but I really don't like that name because it's just Rodan. It's still just Rodan. Like, I don't understand the name Fire Rodan at all. Oh, this is a great shot. I love the fact that in this movie, the second time the character of MECHA-GODZILLA has been introduced, like the new Heisei era version. I love the fact that they do this again between Godzilla and MECHA-GODZILLA, because in the original movie from 1974, they did this very same thing. They were both shooting at each other, except the difference is this time it's the beam coming out of MECHA-GODZILLA's mouth and not his eyes. But it's the fact that they did this laser, ray eclipse thing, that it explodes right in the middle and it messes both monsters up. It messes them up. And that's the same thing happened in the original film. And I love that Toho just does a lot of callbacks, a lot of little hints to the original, which is really cool. It feels like a nice little nostalgia moment. And what I also love about this is that just like how Godzilla, I mean, this version of MECHA-GODZILLA, they apparently did a lot of studying. The military and government did a lot of studying on Godzilla's anatomy or something, because MECHA-GODZILLA's backplates, when he shoots the Mega Buster, the middle row of backplates glow. And you can see that in the shot, actually, if you look at Mecha-G's metal backplates. Well, of course, you know, they're all made of metal. He's all made of metal. Anyways, if you look at his backplates, they glow, and I really like that they do that. But it was just a really cool bit seeing this, and it's like, oh my, it's like I said, it's a nice little nostalgia. It was a nostalgia moment watching this bit. And both monsters get all messed up. Godzilla gets knocked down. MECHA-GODZILLA's his inner circuits and everything start going all haywire. And then, Godzilla just gets back up, and he walked, and what's in front of him, what's in between them, is actually a baseball stadium. It's just so funny. It's like you got a baseball stadium in between them, which is funny. And yeah, that's really all I can say about this shot. And before this, like, it was so cool is the action figure that I have is actually this version of MECHA-GODZILLA. I actually have this figure, the 6.5-inch figure, which is really cool. And anyway, sorry to have a little fanboy moment there. But hey, I'm a Godzilla fan, I don't really care. But it's just so weird how it's like MECHA-GODZILLA's tail is so short. Like the Showa era MECHA-GODZILLA, his tail is really short. Now this one, his tail is like a little longer, but it's still pretty short though. in all honesty. But I love that it matches the anatomy of Godzilla. I love how it matches Godzilla's very bulky anatomy this time around. Oh, and here, see, look, Mechagodzilla's taller, like I was explaining, like I explained a while, like a little bit ago. And see, it's just so cool to see. It's just so cool seeing, like what the Heisei year has been doing. I just love seeing classic monsters reinvented. Like they're reinventing all of their classic monsters, giving them new origins, and also adding the new creatures. And the only new monster is Baby. That's pretty much it. Oh, and actually, I've been going on and on here about, all the good stuff. Well, my other two effects cons that I have is there's a bit the first time during the very first monster battle between Godzilla and Robo G here, there's this thing where the pilots go in this cute transport cube and they go take this shaft down to Mechagodzilla or up into Mechagodzilla's head or something, and it would have been better if they did a little miniature version of it going down the shaft instead of this CGI thing, because the CGI just, it looks like 100 million BC type CGI, and I know it's the 90s, but they could have just done they could have just done like a miniature version of it. And also, my last effects con with this movie is actually not with these two guys, it's actually with Baby Godzilla. I mean, well, it's not really with Baby Godzilla, but there's this funny scene where Baby is in his, like, they have this exhibit, like a pen filled with trees and hay for him to sleep on or whatever. They tried to raise him. They say they want to raise him in captivity. But then there's this bit where one of the human characters, like the main character in this movie, is this guy who is a big pteranodon nut. He's a huge pteranodon enthusiast, and he builds this robotic pteranodon, and he takes the girl that was in the shot with Baby a while back here in this video, and he takes her on this ride, and there's one shot where they had a green screen shot of them flying over Baby, and they did not need to do that. That was so not needed, because they had the rest of the time they had an actual like prop flying over Baby Godzilla, like it was physically in the shot. They did not need to do the green screen. They really didn't. Truly, they did not need to do the whole green screening thing. It didn't look right, in all honesty. But yeah, those are all. Yeah, that was my last effects comment with this movie. But the rest of the time, the effects are great. Literally, the effects in this movie are amazing. And what's so funny about Godzilla, he shows up to the final monster battle like so late. And oh my god, this scene. Here we get to see the second time in the franchise where Godzilla dies. Literally, he dies. He dies. I'm not kidding. Literally, in Rodan, he dies too, actually. Rodan gets his ass beat, man. First, in the first monster battle between Godzilla and Rodan, Godzilla shoots the crap out of him and piles boulders on top of him. And then MECHA-GODZILLA shoots him directly in the chest, and you see this green blood dripping out of his chest, and there's green blood foam forming in Rodan's mouth. MECHA-GODZILla messes Rodan up hard. He really messes up Rodan. And here, Godzilla, he gets messed up too, actually. He like I said, he gets killed. Literally, we see Godzilla get killed because, they actually explain in the movie, and yes, I am a fan of Cinemasker, so I'm gonna say this because his review of this movie was funny. They literally do this thing. They do tests on Baby Godzilla, and they explain. And they explain that Godzilla has another brain up his ass. No, I'm just kidding. It's in his hip. And literally they say like the second brain is what helps Godzilla stand up and control his tail, and that's very Stegosaurus because they said that Stegosaurus is supposed to have something like that too. So they call this thing G Crusher. So MECHA-GODZILLA just shoots the shock anchors into Godzilla's hip, and they blow the second brain up, or the organ. They blow it up, and lo and behold, here's Godzilla suffering from internal bleeding, and he gets shot at again. Oh my God, Mecha-Godzilla wipes the ground with him, and Godzilla dies. Literally, he dies, and then Rodan gets back up, and what was it? Baby Godzilla actually. I think he sees that, and he does this loud screaming roar, and Rodan wakes up, and with the last bit of energy that he has in his body, he lays on Godzilla's side, and with his energy, he brings Godzilla back from the dead. You literally see Godzilla get resurrected, and it's just a very touching, kind of a touching moment actually, because it's like they do this. Like I said, the whole movie, there's like two different things going on in this movie, and they managed to make it work. The movie's all about using technological weapons, and it's all about robotics and technology, and then also it's about dinosaurs having each other's back. And Rodan literally had Godzilla's back in that one scene. Oh, and here we go. This is where this red atomic breath is like, there's this really cool effect right after Rodan resurrects Godzilla. There's these lights that go through Godzilla, and his backplates start glowing, and then he starts emanating this intense heat off his backplates that start melting the artificial diamond off of Mecha-Godzilla, and then Godzilla's atomic breath goes from blue to red. And here you go. It's awesome when Godzilla defeats Mecha-Godzilla. It's so cool seeing him just, literally, Godzilla just like, he gets pissed off, and then he just shoots the crap out of Mecha-Godzilla. I mean, it's surprising the human pilots got out of him. They got out of Mecha-Godzilla in one piece. I can't believe that. I mean, yeah, they were all banged up and everything, but it's like, I can't believe that they even made it out of that, because Godzilla was messing Mecha-Godzilla up. I mean, he turned the most advanced 20th century robot into a junkyard. Oh my God. And the CGI, like I said, it's 90s CG. It's typical. Sorry about that, folks. You ever had that thing where saliva gets caught in your throat? Yeah, that's what just happened. Anyways, yeah, it's typical 1990s CG, where sometimes it can look cartoony and then sometimes it can look good. But in these movies, it actually looks good despite the time period. And the red atomic breath is definitely one of the main highlights of the movie. And I don't know. It just, when it happens, you're like, oh my God, wow. Well, it's a kind of a shocker moment, because it's like, wow, I didn't expect Godzilla to start doing that. But it's Rodan's energy now in his body, and Godzilla just got overpowered, basically. And it's just so crazy how it's like, the thing with the Godzilla films is like, no matter how many times you try to get rid of Godzilla, he will always come back. It's irony. It's a literary element of irony, where it's like, no matter how many times you try to get rid of him, something always happens, or something that happens that brings him back. So there's always something. Godzilla has to come back always, and they always come up with a reason. And here we have like a great shot of the suit, and this is where man, look at Godzilla's face. He just looks super pissed. I mean, look at that face. And like I said, this is a long while back here in this video. This is the same suit from the last 3 or 4 films, and I just love the detailing. I really, really do love the detailing on it. There's like 2 different scale patterns on his underside and his dorsal surface and his back plates. His back plates just look good. Everything about Godzilla in this movie is really great. Seriously, there's like literally very, very perfect executions with him. And yeah, I already said about like Oh yeah, I already said. Actually, it was during this final battle that I said when I showed the screenshot of Rodan where, yeah, you can see the wires holding Rodan up. It's like a, yeah, I already mentioned that. I don't. It's very easy to ignore, but it's like you'll see it and then it's gone. Like you'll just see it for like maybe half a second. But yeah, there's really not much I can say here about the Godzilla suit because it's the same design from the last few films, and I don't know what it is, but Godzilla standing in front of fire is amazing. And here, literally, this is the ending to the movie right here, where Mickey Sagusa convinces Baby Godzilla to go with him, and then they just walk in the ocean. Godzilla's alive still, and then the military's super pissed off about that. And one thing I do gotta say is I really did like the ending to this. I mean, the lighting, the effect. I mean, I love the effects just for this ending shot. Like the the compositing looks really, it blends really well, and also the lighting. The early, this is like at what 5 a.m. or something like that, and the moonlight lighting or the nighttime lighting. It looks really good. I really like that. I really did. This is a very. It's actually a beautiful shot, really, when you look at it. Like the color of the water, matches matches Godzilla's color. It has like this blue tone, this navy blue tone, which is really good. So yeah, this movie, it was fun. This was a very fun Godzilla movie, and like I said it 2 times. I'll say it a third time. Final score for this movie is an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10 because there's some points with there, like I said, the effects cons just kind of like, okay, you could have done so much better with that. And just let me get back to the poster here. Okay, yeah, here we go. Yeah, so overall, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, I would recommend this mainly. The only thing I can really recommend this to is fans of giant monster films and diehard Godzilla fans. Like, because I'm pushing through the franchise still one movie after the next. So I would, yeah, like I said, diehard Godzilla fans and fans of giant monster movies or just monster movies all in general, really. Those who are into that, like myself personally, will very much enjoy this movie. This is a really great Godzilla movie. Great special effects work, really cool monster battles, little throwbacks to the Showa era. This movie's just really great. This is a really good movie. Yeah, like I said, so final score, 8 out of 10. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this review, and please, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Magus Dragon, because he's the one that made the logo at the beginning of this video. So the link to his channel will be in the description below, as well as the movie reviews library, because he is with me and my buddy Alan in that channel as well. So yeah, so the link for those 2 channels will be down there in the description below. So this is Tim W. Leathertachi 1996, and I am going to say peace out, everybody, and I will see you all next week with the next Godzilla film in the Heisei era. And I hope it either tops this one or it's just as good. Alright? So I'm going to say peace out, everybody. See you all next week. Take it easy, folks.